This is Shaun Sport in podcast form.
Good to have Caitlin Bassett in the house. We just heard from Mike. We're talking maths, but we're going to talk to Caitlin about footy, and she's hoping to make her debut for the Perth Demons this weekend against the Swan District's Black Ducks.
So this is a pracky match still?
Final practice match. Yes, we have. We've got one more. So we played Claremont last week, and then we had a bye this weekend, and we've got Swans before our first round, which is against Peel Thunder.
Ooh,
Are you playing at the Thunderdome?
Yeah,
or are you
we're playing at the Thunderdome.
Look
so
out.
getting a little bit nervous now because it's starting to get really real. Just like netball days, you have to get selected. We have quite a big squad, so I have to put my best foot forward at training this week in the hopes to get selected.
If you're not playing in the ruck, which we all suspect you're going to do some time there,
what else would you do with
Are you just going to go forward?
Nah, I think I had spent a little bit of time at forward at training, but I think the best position for me is actually back and playing in defence and just chucking some spoils and trying to
goalkeeper
mayhem in a bit of contest work. But yeah, when we did play
Get some
against
tips from Courtney
Curtin, the ball just didn't come down our end, and I was like, well, this is a little bit boring. More boring, but I'm still learning the rules, so I didn't know you had to start back in the square on the centre bounce and things like that.
Well, the 6-6-6 rule and staying in the... But how do you feel about spoiling the ball? Because you got to but you're punching the ball.
I don't mind because I am not as athletic as I used to be. I'm going to say that, put that out there in the universe now because I know everyone's thinking about it. I'm not really going to be this super crafty ruck where I'm going to be monstering everyone and jumping over the top. So the fist is my friend.
Punch from behind.
Punch.
You got a great reach like a seasick dog, Ross.
Yeah, punch it forward. Punch it forward. What?
I just threw that in for you because I know
no,
you'd put
another
off.
random.
Hey, mate, you're not doing the Channel 7 special comments now.
No,
Settle
so
down.
I was
Just do it for
watching.
Ross.
I've been watching very carefully Eagles and Dockers on the weekend.
Yes.
Look,
Probably watch a good team next week.
Yeah, I didn't learn a lot, to be fair. I learned about what not to do.
Yeah.
No, but interesting. I'm starting from the bottom, as are our two WA teams at the moment.
Yeah.
Certainly are. So you were across the Fremantle game on the weekend. You had the day off yesterday, which is good on you.
Yes. So
That would have been enough, I would have thought.
did Dockers from the office. So Craig O'Donoghue travelled to Geelong. To be honest, so much excitement before the game. We've been pumping up Dockers in the West. You know, this is their year, flag mantle, all these things. Disappointing start, to say the least. If it wasn't for Murphy Reid in the third quarter,
Yeah, it was amazing
It would have
burst.
been a real bust.
4 goals in 10 minutes. It was incredible.
And he really got them back into the action. But I'm interested to know, yes, it's not great to have a performance like that, but all the stars that they're missing this week when they play against Sydney, are they going to have any ins back?
Well, first of all, Sean Darcy's not going to be playing for a number of weeks. No. Hayden Young's still not going to be playing for 3 to 4 weeks. I don't believe Shea Bolton, and despite what happened with him just missing selection on the weekend to play his first game.
He's got a hot spot, which is, the precursor to a stress fracture, and really just needs a rest, and then you have to deload it and then start building up the pressure on it again.
My understanding is Shea came over and the level of training that the Fremantle Dockers trained at was well beyond what he's been doing in the last few years.
Wow.
And everybody's probably aware that the Dockers have been on this mad training program for the last probably 3 years. And a lot of the times, as you would know, Nat, being in this industry, is you break, bodies get broken down and they build up in a stronger way.
And also hard ground as well as the
hard
other thing.
ground.
So yeah,
You've been out on that ground.
A lot of running on hard ground is probably a contributing factor.
Yes.
Compared to, say, Melbourne grounds.
So he's probably in a year of adjustment in terms with his body. So anyway, this has come about, and I can't see how you can have an issue like that you're going to be back in a week or have the week off and then come back and
Nat
play.
Fyfe and Sonny Walters?
Nat Fyfe will be back playing shortly. Probably plays in the Waffle, and Sonny Walters had a bit of a knee issue. We did see him play that last game against Melbourne, so he could be
He might be a smoky to come back.
Cooper Simpson, he got injured in the Waffle. That's the problem. Going back to Waffle and playing in the Waffle is fantastic, but also
you can get hurt
injured
there,
as well. So it's tough. Look, Eagles, are they going to have many players back? Potentially not. Does it matter?
Doesn't matter.
I mean, they've got another.
We had high hopes because new coach, new era. You thought maybe that might be the catalyst, but we were wrong. So
you know what? It's really difficult to replace Tom Barrass helping out Jeremy McGovern.
True. And I said that to Gov, and he's like, "Oh no, we got Harry Edwards and all the rest of Tom."
I'm a big fan fan of Harry, and that's nothing against him.
Yeah. But Tom Barrass had amazing experience, and they worked so well together that it's going to take a while before he finds that mojo with somebody else, I think.
No doubt. The biggest problem with the West Coast Eagles is their midfield. And they haven't had since Nick Natanui's left the club, and he was injured for a long time in that last couple of years, their ruck position, Caitlin, this is an opening for you. If we're ever going to have women's sport translate into men, it's just an open era.
No.
This is a spot.
I think Matty Flynn did a good job, and he ended up kicking a goal.
Sorry, when?
Look, he hung
Jared
tight.
Witz was the best player on the ground.
I know. It's really hard. And imagine that. And that's the mental side of the game is when you're going out and you're getting absolutely monstered contest after contest, you need those mids around you to really back you up and give you support. He didn't have that on the weekend. Elliot Yeo, when's he going to be back? He'll make a difference.
At least
Tim Kelly, he didn't really do much.
He had 7 possessions at one stage in the third quarter for the game, and the guys who were playing at had 30 at the same stage.
Yeah, that's grim.
So, I mean...
Harley he's unfit. We've talked about that. He's not at the level. And, granted, he's had an interrupted pre-season, but he's going to, at some stage, get to elite training standards, and that's not this year. It might be in 2 years' time, and he's a star and all that kind of stuff. But they're going to get beaten hands down if they don't make some changes. Jack Graham was playing in there as a Richmond player, and he was starting on Matt Rowell, but you can't defend a guy who's so in at the ball.
Yeah.
Like, he's an absolute weapon. He's a ball.
He's a gun, Matt Rowell. Jeez, he's good, isn't he?
And I didn't see him eat the grass yesterday. Was there any reports on him eating the grass?
He does have a little bit of a graze, doesn't he?
No,
Didn't have time to have a snack.
He's too busy getting the ball now.
He's very busy getting touches.
No, just quickly, netball on the weekend as well. Team Girls Cup. Fever made it through to the final, so they won their 3 games in the lead up and then lost by 1 goal to the Adelaide Thunderbirds. They're the reigning champions at the moment. The funny thing about this tournament is whoever has won it in the past has gone on to have a shocking season. So it's quite interesting. Did Fever really want to win Team Girls Cup?
Exactly.
Because it would have set them up poorly.
Losing by 1 it might have been a great tactical move by Dan Ryan.
Are they going to be okay?
I think they will. Olivia Wilkinson, their young shooter who has sat behind Janelle Fallon Emmard, she's only played one season of Suncorp Super Netball. She really stood up and delivered. So I think as long as they've got her on the court, whether she be in goal shooter or out of goal attack, I actually think they'll be fine.
Okay.
Yep.
I saw that Sloane Burton got a bit of a run as well.
Come on, Sloane. I'm so happy.
Yeah.
Sloane went to Europe last year and she played in England.
Bath,
she played there. Her lovely parents,
Spider Burton is her dad,
and Jules. Who Jules was an original
Very
West
good
Coast
netballer.
Fever player.
Yeah,
she's amazing, and I'm so happy that Sloane got the opportunity.
Yes, and she's a training partner for them. So if anything happens, she'll hopefully be the next call up.
Yep, great. Thank you, CBass.
Shaun Sport in podcast form.
Let's go to the footy then to kick things off.
And Bianca Chatfield didn't answer the phone. So,
So we couldn't talk about the netball. But you can give me an update on the netball now because I didn't have any idea.
Do you want to do that now?
Yes, please.
Okay, so it was the Team Girls Cup, which is a pre-season round-robin tournament. All the teams in Adelaide, 2 pools. West Coast Fever played very well, 3 games in the preliminaries, won them all. Through to the final, lost by 1 to Adelaide. But historically, nobody that's won the pre-season tournament has gone on to win the cup.
Used to happen in the
main season.
AFL, remember? You win the pre-season cup, guess what? You're bottom 4.
But there were question marks over whether the Fever could adequately replace Janelle Fowler, and they could, as it turned out. Olivia Wilkinson played, and they have a new player, new goal shooter who's come in as well, who I didn't actually watch her game, so I don't know how well she did. I think it's Mwai Kwende, something like that. And she's a terrific shooter as well, and so clearly, they did all right without Janelle.
Yeah, that's interesting because she's just been the cornerstone in that team 100%. For a long time. But here's the thing, the strength can also be a disadvantage because every team knows how you play. Whilst they accept that she's going to get 50 to 60 goals a game, then the GA position's probably been a letdown for West Coast Fever for quite some time.
Well,
now you've got a 2-pronged attack, and if you use that correctly and play to a system, then you're going to get the result you're looking for.
Yep, so that was a good outcome for Dan Ryan and the girls.
Yeah, I know our WA teams were terrible, so when we're doing the swim on Saturday, we had the iPad out and we could see on KO that you could get some kind of live coverage, so we put it on, and inside the first minute, Geelong scored the first goal of the game, and inside a minute and a half, we turned it off. Because you could tell. And there's a few things that went wrong for the Dockers, but it comes down to showing up and performing your job on the day. And they weren't in the headspace to be able to do that. And that was the difference. They've got a pretty good team, Fremantle, but clearly from the body language that we saw and the way that they went out there and lack of intensity, Ross, they just weren't in for that fight. And And, there's excuses and all the rest of it, but I think there is a difference when you go over to play in Melbourne and you're playing at 10:20 in the morning.
Yes.
Which, and it's
I
the
mean,
first game of the season, and there's all that kind of stuff.
Obviously, it was 1 there, but at Perth time, you're right. He's still operating on Perth time. That is weird. I mean, silver lining, Murphy Reid, extraordinary debut, 4 goals in 10 minutes, amazing.
Amazing.
He was
stuff.
on fire, and you go, "This is it. It's turning. It's changed the momentum. They're good from here," but they weren't.
If you see on the Dockers Instagram, they've got a whole lot of different radio calling boxes calling the 4 goals in a row, and just seeing the reactions of the commentary teams, because at that stage Geelong were home. He single-handedly made it a game and put some excitement in the game, so that was great to be able to see him do that.
Let's talk about his first goal, where he kind of sold the dummy to his guy in the mark and then just ran past him. It was, that's a ballsy move in your first game for your first goal. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think the thing about that situation, which happens every now and then when you see guys do it, it's really organic.
Yes.
And if you're thinking about doing it from the get-go, it never works out. You get caught. Yeah. It just happens in the spur of the moment. Yeah. I'm so glad he did that.
Yeah.
And it
but
shows
had he got caught, he would have looked like an idiot.
Absolutely.
But he didn't, and it was a goal, and and then 3 more followed immediately.
So when Fremantle drafted him, he was one of the best players in the under-18s competition, and people straight away, they want to pick faults, right? So they say he's not fast enough.
Yeah.
But when you watch his highlights, you can see that he plays footy and thinks outside the square.
Yes.
He's always coming up with different ways of moving the ball.
Yeah.
And that's, it's value for money there. Yesterday when I went to watch the West Coast Eagles play the Gold Coast, they were smoked, and it came from the midfield. And it's not because they weren't prepared in a way, and probably they weren't at the level they needed to, but their midfield needs a good hard look at themselves. Harley Reid's completely underdone, so he's getting, and I said before the start of the game.
He had an interrupted pre-season, didn't he? Some niggling injuries and things,
Yes, but last year he wasn't that fit, because it was first season, so he's not as fit as some of the other guys running around there, so he's really such a burst player and so exciting to watch and powerful. And yesterday we didn't see any of that. They were all over him. And the other thing with opposition teams, they'll just go and play someone who can run.
Yeah, that's
and they'll
it.
just go, okay, you stand next to him, defend him at the stoppage, and then just run, and we'll just kick the ball to you.
Yeah.
And yesterday, Touk Miller, Noah Anderson, the new captain from the Gold Coast Suns, and Matt Rowell, they had 29 clearances for the game. West Coast had 34 in total across their whole team.
Yeah.
18 players on their team. In fact, 23 players played for the West Coast Eagles. They had 34, and these 3 guys had 29.
Yeah,
they dominated the game.
That's extraordinary.
Shaun, if you spoke anything like this on the commentary yesterday, well done.
Is it going over your head, by the way, Ross?
Shaun is making great little observation. You're the special comments guy, and even from the outset, I'm like, oh, look at Shaun. He knows what he's talking about.
This is his wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Make it.
I was concerned because I sort of watched a little bit of the first quarter, and then I had to go out and walk the dog and stuff, and I came back and the halftime stats were up, and they are the leading possession getters for West Coast with Jeremy McGovern and Tom Cole. I'm like, oh, this isn't good. Their backline's getting absolutely hammered.
Yeah.
Not what you want to see.
No, it was all won and lost in the contest, and I threw out a couple of Rossisms because he would say it's a midfield battle.
Not me.
Yeah,
no, Ross Lyon.
Ross.
Yeah, it's a ground ball war, Sean. It's a ground ball war, he'd say.
Oh, yeah, that's
and they lost all those key stats. But the other one, I just want to finish on and change subjects. Gout. Now,
I just watched this.
He, at the Queensland Athletics Championships, ran the 200 in 20 seconds.
In the heat.
Dominated.
20.05. Yeah.
20.05, which is the fastest time in the world over 200 metres to this point.
And then backed it up with a sub 20 in the final.
And if you see the actual race, you can almost not see the other participants in the camera shot. That's how far ahead he was.
Yeah. He's it.
We've got someone in men's athletics, an Australian who will be representing us.
Yeah.
Will be performing and be going for a gold medal in men's. I know we've been so successful. Kathy Freeman, obviously.
Sally
Pearson. She's been unbelievable. But athletics, we've never been able to have a sprinter in our nation that's done so well.
It's been a long time.
This is huge.
Since, Rowan Browning made a tilt into the semi-finals and stuff. And Shervo back in the day.
Shervo with his package.
It's been a while. And just momentarily back to the footy for a shout out to our workmate Magnus, who who blew everybody away on Thursday night when he was the only one in our whole tipping competition to pick Richmond to beat Carlton.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
He's got his eye in early, Nat.
Got his eye in early. Did not pick another winner for the entire round. So he got one for the 1 out of 9.
Richmond.
And it was Richmond. So, you know, tipping, it's a wild old game.
Oh, my God.
Well done, Mango.
Shaun Sport is a Nova podcast. For more great comedy shows like this, head to novapodcast.com.au.